What is going on YouTube? Kronos here and welcome back to another tower fantasy video. So today's video I actually want to talk about Crow's Dive. Whether or not it actually really got nerfed, whether the bugs have been fixed, so on and so forth. But before jumping to that, guys, if you're new to the channel, my name is Kronos. I primarily cover PSO2 content, but have branched out into fantasy or tower fantasy as well. Would much appreciate a subscribe as we work our way towards that 10k mark. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this because I actually want to take a second to, before we jump into this video specifically, to kind of just mention something across the board. Since this is the first video that's going to be coming out since the last two Tower Fantasy videos. Something I've noticed is very, very specific is Tower Fantasy community can be a bit polarizing at times. Two things. One, never be afraid to call something out. If I miss something, by all means say something in the comment, but you know, guys could be a little nicer about it, but it's besides the point. And second, I've noticed also, if you're not very specific, people tend to nitpick things very, basically a lot more than what I'm used to. It's from another community I've been a part of that usually wasn't nitpicked to this extent, but you know, I totally get it. I'm going to be more upfront about making sure I word things exact or as close to the TI as I possibly can so it can't be misconstrued. As you guys probably have noticed, the previous video where I was talking about the event cap has been unlisted. It has not been taken down. It has not been privated. It's simply been unlisted. That way no one can make any sort of mistakes. As to checking that one out, I made a follow-up video kind of correcting things and talking more about exactly what it's supposed to be and how, you know, mistakes can happen in that sort of situation itself. So I will just do my best in the future to make sure that sort of thing doesn't happen. But I have no problem with you guys calling those sorts of things out. I actually would much rather you do call them out just to make sure that we keep spreading proper information to the entire community. Along with that, with my update video where I talked about some of the changes we had coming or some of the changes we had recently with Tower Fantasy, we talked about Crow's Dive. And one thing that was mentioned previously in that video were a couple of things. People were saying, well, no, you're wrong. This is how it's supposed to work, or this is how it's said it's supposed to work in game, or this is how, or this still works on CN, right? So a couple of things I want to clarify. When I say Crow's Dive has been fixed, like it, you know, the bug in it has been fixed, specifically just the endurance bug. You're unaware, whenever you used Crow or used the jetpack and then use Crow's Dive, two things would happen. One, you wouldn't have to, grapple towards your enemy. You'd actually immediately start a dive. There'd be no normal attack. And two, you'd actually consume 0 stamina. The second one was not intended. The first one totally is, but the second one was not intended. And you would be able to infinitely spam this over and over again. This is a pretty big issue in PvP where your jetpack is already fairly useful in getting out of situations like Meryl's Discharge and a couple of other situations where you just need to make some space for your character. But you could also just dive at your target for free over and over again, dealing quite a bit of damage. Now there's a second part to this as well I want to go ahead and talk about. So for that, we need to pull up Crow. So let's go ahead and pull up the weapon and we'll talk about it. If we pop over here, we go down to, where is it? Rapid lunge? No, spiral dive. So spiral dive, here we go. So it's got a couple of things. Yeah, tap and hold normal attack while airborne, or tap when the target is selected. This is very important, the selected portion of this. Or tap normal attack while climbing, jumping backward, or using jetpack to trigger spiral drive. While falling, deal damage equal to 42% of attack plus 119. Now, as you can see here, there is no damage buff that is associated with the actual jetpack portion of this. This is just to trigger spiral drive. Unless I'm totally misreading this, by all means, please let me know if I am. Unless somewhere else that's actually noted. I double checked everywhere I possibly could look, double checked, online sites, online resources, double checked that, it's not in any of his star ratings or anything along those lines. Nowhere else does it state that this jetpack provides him extra damage. It is simply that you can trigger the spiral drive off of the jetpack itself. Now, the way this was working was you were able to skip the normal attack. Usually when you start a spiral drive, and I can show you here really quick, if you don't have a target, you have this normal attack that happens before it, right? But one of the things that was nice about his jetpack, which I'll show you here really quick if I have a target, is if I jetpack, I would instantaneously spiral drive my target. There would be no normal attack in between. And if this was before the earlier patch, what would end up happening is that would also use no stamina. This actually uses stamina now. So people were saying, oh no, they haven't fixed his dive. Well, they said they fixed the stamina portion of it, which they did. As you can see, it used stamina whenever I went to use the dive. Now, there's one other component to this actual dive as well, which I'm going to use some enemies down here to show off. And you guys can see whenever I did my dive, or drive, whatever you want to actually call it, it did a good sizable chunk of damage. I'm going to see if I can find the camp I used last time. Hold on a sec, guys. Okay, and this camp has a shielded enemy. So one thing you guys noticed, whenever I went ahead and did my spiral drive, or spiral dive, whatever you want to call it, when I did my jetpack, I had no no stop when I went to go for it. I also did quite a bit of damage. So I'm going to show you guys really quick what happens when I don't use my jetpack at all. Now, see, I kind of missed my target, which is a bit weird, right? Also, at some points, I had a jetpack towards him. It's a bit inconsistent. If you double jump usually and then do it, you normally just go towards your target. Notice I only hit him once there too. Occasionally I'll hit him multiple times, but most time I only hit him once. Now watch what happens when I jetpack before I do this. Hit him 4 times. Nothing's changed. All I did was pop my jetpack. This is what people are talking about when they talk about Crow's Dive being busted. And honestly, there's nothing else in the game that does this. It's just Crow's jetpack, or it's just Crow's jetpack dive. And it's not that the jetpack's supposed to provide any extra damage. Yes, jetpack does actually give stun if you're in the air for more than 2 seconds, but that's it. It doesn't provide multiple ticks, extra hits, or anything along those lines. And actually, just to keep showing it off, I'm just gonna keep doing this. Where I haven't popped jetpack, I'm only getting 1 hit. Now, sometimes you'll see 2. It's very, very rare you'll see a second hit. I'll do this beforehand. So yeah, you can see a hit there. It's very rare you'll see one, but as soon as I jetpack beforehand, I hit him 3 times, and 2 of them were 20k. Crazy part about that is I'm not sure if the damage is what's being busted there. Now, some people have made claims that it doubles Crow's damage or it's tripling his damage or something along those lines. That's crazy. I'm not 100% sure. To be honest, this is a lot more difficult to test since unfortunately we don't have the test dummies that 2.0 does have over in CN. But that's what people are referring to when they say Crow's Dive is busted. That's what the quote bug is. That's what the problem is or whatever. And that's what still hasn't technically been fixed over in CN. Yes, the endurance situation has been fixed because with it, Crow could dive infinitely. And if you could dive infinitely at a target in PvP, especially with the way PvP has been going recently, getting people stunned or getting them frozen, and then being able to get behind them and then just dive at them over and over again, shredding through them like crazy, it's an insane amount of damage. I can tell you, I'm not that strong. I mean, realistically, I'm pretty strong. I'm not a full-blown whale, but I've whaled quite a bit in the game itself. I have C6 Nemesis and 29k CS. I know myself personally with the current, the current Frontier, we've been able to push up to 20 million damage just crow diving the bosses. And as you guys know, the boss is currently in Frontier Clash, at least today. This is what, the 29th of August. They suck. Getting 3 chests is really difficult, and we have to use a 3 stack to help carry someone to get a 3 chest. And it is not the easiest thing to do. It's a little bit wishy-washy sometimes. And realistically, it's something that we still need to work on. But this is honestly what people are talking about when they're saying Crow's Dive is busted. Now, try this with other weapons as well. I can actually show you guys that the actual dive portion of this does still work with other weapons. It just doesn't work to this extent. It is just Crow's Dive that just does multiple hits for some reason. As you can see, there you go. I think that was just a crit in that situation. I'm not sure if it happens with every single weapon. Pretty sure that was just a crit. Yeah, okay, so that's pretty much my normal amount of damage I'd see with my king, about 3k. I think I had a lucky crit there is what happened there. Yeah, 4k. So yeah, that seems about normal. But as you can see, this isn't something that's unique to Crow as far as the interaction. It's just the damage that's unique. So when people are talking about Crow's Dive being busted, this is what they're referring to. Now, whether or not it's intended, and whether it's a secret game mechanic or something along those lines, I don't know. Because realistically speaking, it's not written anywhere that this would be the case. And this game has been pretty good about writing where, or at least putting somewhere in the text of the character where something is supposed to be intended as I run away from the stupid enemy that's chasing me. They've been pretty good about putting somewhere where the mechanic is intended. However, nowhere in anything that I've read for Crow does it say make his spiral drive hit 3 to 4 to 5 times. Now, on big targets, I have had just regular spiral drives hit multiple times, but it has to be a really, really, really big target that I'm able to basically kind of travel across. Smaller enemies, usually you're only going to hit once, but for some reason with this jetpack dive, you can hit them 3, 4, 5 times, and it does insane amounts of damage every time. Now, my theory with the whole dive thing, actually pull this here really quick. My theory with the whole spiral drive, my theory with this here is that because you're kind of going through your target, you might be proccing his whole backstab situation and getting that 100% crit chance and 30% crit damage. And it's happening multiple ticks on multiple times, so that might be it. And this attack just hits fairly hard as it is. So that could be the reason that's happening. But again, not 100% sure. I would invite you guys to take a look at it yourselves. Maybe you guys might have found some of the information I haven't looked at personally. Feel free to join the Discord. There's a link in the video description to the Discord itself. And DM me personally if you happen to find something. I'd love to look at it. Anyway, guys, like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe when you keep up with more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace out.